Good morning. We're going to do an Every Door Direct class on marketing this morning. JP Campion is going to be the expert and tell us all about it. This Mike can keep the phone hung up there. We'll be in good shape. And we'll go from there. So sit back, relax, get some information, and figure out what's going on with Every Door Direct.
Thank you, Brett. Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
Thank you. Today, we're going to learn about Every Door Direct, how it works, what it is. We're going to talk a little bit about why you would want to use it, but more importantly, everyone that's here or following along, at the end of the class will be registered with the U.S. Post Office. You'll have an account. You'll be familiar with how to proceed and what to do, and you should be able to successfully generate your own mailings from this. Okay, so moving on from that, I'm down now into the marketing power of EDDM, and I'm presenting this in a collegial fashion. So if you have questions, just raise your hand, shout out, and we'll take them as we go along. Who, what, where, when, how, why. This is a project I took on when I discovered that farming could be done less expensively by using Every Door Direct mailers. Brett encouraged me to contact the post office and to see what that was all about, because it costs 17.5 cents per piece, as opposed to the normal postcard or bulk mail costs. Now, I've raised the word bulk mail here. You are not going to learn anything about bulk mailing, and you need to forget that Every Door Direct can also be bulk mail, because each individual shipment that you would do in order to take advantage of bulk mail would have to be more than 5,000 pieces. And I don't think that anyone that came here today was interested in 5,000 pieces. So anything less than 5,000 pieces is considered retail. Okay? And that's what we're going to learn how to do, is retail Every Door Direct. So you don't need all kinds of good things. All you will need to know is who you want to send it to, what you want to send, where you want it to go, when you want it to go. And of course, you've already made the decision, so you had the whole discussion of why, and now we're gonna deal with the how. So it's Every Door Direct mail from the United States Post Office, and it's retail, not bulk mail. Very important to understand the difference, because in the handout that I gave you, it includes pages that say bulk mail units. Okay? So that's the deal. 17.5 cents for me was the motivating factor. Why do you want to use Every Door Direct? You want to reach people for a variety of different reasons that may be in your farm, or that may be, as Chuck Azer did recently, it may be in a neighborhood where you have a home for sale, where you've got a listing and you want to have someone come on an open house and you can deliver a special message, rather than using a trapezoid to lay out the homes and get the addresses and do a postcard campaign. You can take the postal route that that property may be on, and you can send something just to the people that are on that postal route far less expensively and still cover the same territory depending upon the location of the house. And you'll see how that works. Now, there are two ways to do this, and I want to get to that next here, because I want to talk about this particular portion of Every Door Direct in our office. Brett and I did some serious research, and the whole research that we did into this was the counterintuitive nature of the whole thing. Why would the post office send things out to every household for less than postcard price? And how does it work that the things can be bigger than postcards and be cheaper? What's the whole deal? Well, the secret is it's the same uniform item. You do a lot of work up front for them to get it ready to go, and they're going to deliver that same piece to every single household, and they've given us a wide breadth of sizes that we can use as long as each piece is uniform. And of course, the one limitation is it can only go to the postal route, or a series of postal routes that you choose, that you'll see in a moment. But the sizes are varied as to what you can send. This is the most popular size, 8.5 by 11. This has got a UV coating on it. And Brett and I discovered that the secret, as you can hear from this wiggling, is in the weight of the paper, which apparently makes it easier for postal people to handle. And you can even do trifolds, for example, for menus. So those Chinese restaurant menus you get come every door direct, the trifolds. So that's another option. But this is the most popular one in the group. This is what we picked up when we bought the proper paper. And this is a 5.5 by 11 because it comes off of an 11 by 17, what they call 3 and out. Okay? So 3 outs are perforated so that you can get 3 items out of an 11 by 17. Yes.
Now, has the office purchased that paper? Do we need to purchase that paper?
That's what we're going to get to in this discussion. Okay? You do not need to purchase that paper if you choose to go this route, which is our office route.
Okay.
You can hire a professional bulk mail company to do this for you. You design it with them, they print it, they put the proper indicia on it, or indicia as the post office calls it, and then they send it out for you and you don't do anything. Okay? But if you're interested in saving some money, being personally involved in it, I want you to know that Christina does this. Okay? And let's talk a little bit about what Christina needs. Brett will provide you with the personnel, Brett will provide you with the paper resources, the printing resources, and to a certain extent, he'll also provide the personnel that would design your mailing. Okay? The 8.5 by 11 that has my mailing on it was the original design that we used prior and to test run this to make sure it worked properly. And that's a 3-out sheet. So you can rely on Christina, but she's got some rules. You have to deliver whatever you want to include in your design to Christina in a JPEG format. Text that you want to include can be sent to her as part of an email, or you can use a Word to say, I'd like to use the following language, and then you can work with her on the design. Now, she needs 2 to 3 days lead time just to complete the design. That's important to remember. You're working with someone who's going to be laying things out, you're going to be looking at proofs, they're going to be coming back to you, and presto changeo, you're going to finally say, that's the one I want, and this is how I want to do it. Now, remember, 11 by 17 is one of the kinds of paper that we chose to have, but you can also do a postcard rip-out. All right, and the secret is, as you will see, we have 4 outs. It's a 8.5 by 11 that you tear into postcards, after they're perfect. You can make it even that small if you want, because the postcard paper has to be the proper weight. And of course, this is what that looks like. You end up with something this size, and I think we've all seen thousands of these going out of our office like this. This can also go out every door direct. All right, and you'll see what the maximum size is shortly. Now, you can use another person or another company to do your design for you. You don't need to rely on Christina. The test run designs were done by a guy that I found on Fiverr, Fiverr.com. And you can go to Fiverr.com and someone can design it for you. They have to deliver it in publisher format. Absolutely critical that it come to her in publisher format. No JPEG, no Word, no nothing, just publisher format. And then she can manipulate it, size it properly. She can center it on the pages that you're going to use for perfing, and that's how it's done. So you're going to see the acceptable dimensions of a flat. And I want you to look now on the handout from the post office to page 2, which is the green reference page. Okay? Yes.
Okay, so if I've designed my own flyer and I'm gonna give it to her already designed, it needs to be in publisher.
Yes.
But if I'm going to send her images and things that I want her to put onto a flyer and design, then it's JPEG.
JPEG, right.
Okay.
Yes. And they can be, she may be inserting just stuff that you get from Coldwell Banker's stock of images, image stock. You can do that. You can go online and pull stuff down and pay for images that are professionally done that you want. Sometimes they cost as little as 10 cents a piece. Sometimes they're more expensive. It just depends upon what you're putting together and what you want to communicate. But down on the bottom of the green sheet, and I want to reference that now, that this is for the people that are here and have a handout. On the bottom, you will see the acceptable dimensions of a flat. This is a flat, okay? And this is a flat. So it's a flat is just the individual piece that you finally end up with. So we're gonna work on that a little bit later on. So the acceptable dimensions are a minimum of 10, less than 10.5 inches long, or less than 6.125 inches high, and this is the magic number here. Less than, or excuse me, greater than 2.25 inches thick. These are greater than signs, not less than, right? Am I reading that right? I think I am. Yes, I'm sorry. So greater than. I apologize.
Got to be thick.
Greater than 10.5 inches long, greater than 6.125 inches long, or 0.25 inches thick. So we've chosen paper that's 0.25 inches thick for all of this. So it can be any size. The smallest I would suggest you use from our own experience here is the postcard size. The motivation for doing this is you can put a unique size in the mailbox that sticks out. It stands out. I mean, when you're doing an 11 wide or you're sending someone an 8.5 by 11, think of all the information you can put on that. Not only that, you can't avoid it. When you're bringing your mail in the house, it's like, whoa. So you eyeball that because it's so unusual in your mail. And that's what we're after, okay? So Christina will print this, and oh, by the way, the maximum size, 15 inches by 12 inches. So given the configuration of paper, 11 by 17, you're going to go 11 by maybe, what would this be? 10, 10 and a half, 11 by 10 and a half, something like that. That'd be the very biggest that you would do. Yes?
The little postcard that we got, what's the thickness of it?
That'll be 0.25.
That is? So this is bigger than that?
That's going to be the same weight as this, and I'll get to that next, okay? But when you're perfing these out, what you end up with is this, which is smaller, but the paper weight is greater than the minimum requirement. That's the counterintuitive thing. It's like, wow, this should be a postcard, but because the paper is thicker, isn't it more expensive for them to deliver? Forget all of that counterintuitive, forget all that reasoning. Just follow the rules. That's the ticket, and then you'll be all set.
The heavier the better.
The green page at the bottom gives you the summary, and you can work with Christina on the various sizes. Brett will buy the paper, but give Brett some lead time, okay, so that you come up with something like you want some extra heavy 8.5 by 11 paper, and we don't have it, or you're going to need some lead time to do it. So give Christina the lead time that she needs. Remember, she works from what time to what time?
7 to 3.
Say it out. 7:30 to 3:30. So, okay. Remember that she's here early, and she gets a lot done early. It's your advantage to make an appointment with her for 8 o'clock. All right, and then sit down with her and go over all of the details. Okay. So paper sizes we've covered here. We've got small 11 by 8 by 11 4-ounce, large 11 by 17 paper white. Now here's the definition in your handout. The third page is the paper weight. Okay, and there's a star on it, which is what we've purchased. And what that row means is that if you buy offset paper, it has to be 180, offset 180. If you're buying cover paper, it's cover 100. If you're buying tag paper, it's 166. Okay? And this is item number 4 rather, paper weight. All right? Paper thickness. There are 2 definitions of paper thickness that printers use. One is caliper. We all know what calipers are from our time in high school, right, in class. Calipers measure thicknesses of things. There's also the basic millimeter reading, which is 0.289, which is the paper thickness that is ideal, all right, because we want to be greater than 0.25, and to do that, you can use 0.25 paper and then put the ink on it, and it will be greater than the caliper dimension. Really shrewd, right? Okay, so notice the star. Notice the yellow. I think some of you should have a little yellow highlight across it, and it's all that's your paper size and paper thickness. Any questions about paper size and paper thickness? Okay, I have a monitoring for understanding here. What is the minimum thickness that we have to use?
0.25
0.25, that's right.
millimeters.
0.25 millimeter. That's the minimum thickness of the paper.
JP, before we move on, let me go back just in the design phase. Let's make sure that remember, Christina's here to help and go through the process. You can absolutely, as JP has done, go out and hire a graphic artist to design for you and all that good stuff. But remember, we do have brand standard, so there's certain criteria and things. So it's definitely in your best interest before you start into a project to have a meeting with Christina. Because, obviously if you're going to do something other than the sizes of paper that we already have in stock, we need time to pull that off and make sure that it's worth doing. And then the other side of it is just the overall design and concept. That's what she's here for, is to help you with your marketing program. So take some time, sit down with her, go over the process, and if you end up hiring somebody through Fiverr or anywhere else, or you do it yourself because you're a graphics background, whatever, we just want to make sure that we're collaborating everything through, because it all needs to be approved for a brand standard before.
Yeah, that's one of the things I failed to say, and I think we need to reinforce that. Someone has to review the images you're sending out, so that that you don't make a mistake with the size of the logo, or you don't put the wrong size phone number as opposed to something else. One of the things that we're getting away with here in terms of saving space is the inclusion of a QR code. And most recently, when Chuck did his, he also used a QR code so that when people clicked on that with their smartphone, it would bring up all of his contact information right into their contact on the phone, so that he didn't have to include all of that extra stuff in there, and he could put on what he wanted to put on. He's also included it on this flyer. This could be an 8.5 by 11 mailing as well. He doesn't have anything on the back of it, but this was his handout at this home that he's trying that he's listed. So that's also a possibility. Now, are there any issues with having Christina do this, or where you would get your resources? Okay, so this is how the office works. Brett's reinforced that you need to work with him, you need to work with Christina, and of course then you also probably would want to collaborate with your colleagues about what to include on it. But today we're not talking about what goes on the mailer to be effective. That would probably be a whole other class. Okay, so we're going to go down now to using the EDDM tool. So if you have your computers here and you're participating in this, you want to go to the URL that's there. And it's listed on your paper. It's highlighted here so that those of you at home can see this. One of the things I want to emphasize with this is you need to capitalize the S that's on there, on that URL, right here under Route Search. In order to get there, you have to use a capital S, not the small letters that everything else is there. And when you get there, so that it will look like this. The page will look like this when you get to that spot right there. Okay? So if those of you that are doing it, I'll give you a couple of seconds here to type in that URL, to go there on your browser, because now what we're actually going to do is we're going to set up your account. And I'm going to walk you through setting up your own account so that there won't be any mistakes made. And I will do it with you. Okay? This is where the countdown music is played.
Jeopardy, right?
The Jeopardy music.
I'm just going to make this little thing go away so you can see all your screen. There you go. As we play around with the on-air thing, how it works.
Okay. Is anybody having any trouble? Okay. I'll wait a little bit more for Rusty. He's, we can only go as fast as the slowest participant.
That's me.
I really don't want to get ahead, because this, specifically this is designed so that you leave here and this will be set up and you'll have an account and away you go. Okay, we got thumbs up from Rusty. We got thumbs up from Mike. You're still working, Mike?
Still working.
Still working? Okay. Anybody else? For those of you at home, don't forget to capitalize the S in the URL unless you are capable. Are they capable of copying and pasting? Okay. No, I don't think so. Okay. Okay. Now, in the upper right-hand corner, it says register or sign in. Okay? And none of you, I'm presuming, are registered, so you want to scroll down, run your highlight, and highlight Sign Up Now, and click on Sign Up Now.
What about start?
And that will take you to this Create Your USPS.com business page. So you want to name your business.
I'm sorry. Where are we?
Yeah,
Top
mine
right corner.
says start.
Register.
Register,
go
sign
there?
in. Yep. Top right corner.
Right up there.
Register, sign in.
There?
Up there. Register, sign in up on top. There you go. Now, you were there. Put it on there. You scroll down and click Sign Up Now. No. Sign Up Now, right here. Don't sign in. You haven't got an account yet. I don't think any of you do you?
No.
Okay, so pick a username, something that's simple that you can remember. It can be your own name. I mean, it doesn't have to be anything outstanding. Pick a password, select 2 questions. So my account is my name, and I created a password that I use, and I'm just using the same password base that I've used for everything. And I don't think you need to worry about having something so convoluted that every good boy does fine. You do something like that. And you've heard about the comedian who used the password that can never be spoken out loud, because if someone got him at the ATM, if he told them the password, it wouldn't just be a robbery, it would be a murder. So at any rate, there you go. And then pick your security questions. Put your answers in. Okay. You don't need a CRID, C-R-I-D, company identifier for your location.
When I put down for pick your first security question, and I select, and then when I start to type what I want, it goes back to select. Okay, and then I click, see?
Click what city you're born.
Yeah, I click, oh, okay.
And then you have to go down to your answer here.
Okay,
Your
well,
answer.
I was
There.
doing the same way.
Okay. All right, so you enter all of this information. Make sure that you put your company email address in, put your company name in. I don't know if you have your own realty company name, obviously, it's Coldwell Banker, but maybe you have a nickname for your business, Mike's Store or Dorothy's Patio, I don't know, whatever, okay? And you want to fill all of this out.
Notice the little check boxes in the bottom right corner that says, "Can we contact you?"
Nope.
You leave those
It
checked.
disappeared.
You're
It's
going to get
to give you some extra emails in your inbox.
Yeah,
So what did you?
You want to uncheck these
This is a
things right here.
business.
Okay. So
It disappeared.
Yeah.
Business.
Mhm.
Everything
Can
disappeared.
you use your home address instead of the office address?
Probably still.
This is just your contact information, so you can use your information, whether it's your home address or your whatever. It's not really going to impact your mailing, because
No,
you can
no,
do
no,
the
no, no.
mailing anywhere. It
Yeah,
doesn't.
this is just how they contact you, and I used all of my office information here. I made this a whole professional thing, not a personal thing.
Shit.
I put my name in, I put the company address,
Answers
Coldwell
from
Banker,
who
Atlanta,
is.
blah, 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 all the way down the line.
So did we put Coldwell Banker for the company name, or did we just put our name or something?
Whatever you want, yeah.
Whatever you name your company.
And by the way, this can all change. You can edit this at any time. So
Right. It's just like any other account that you sign up for with anything. It needs to know who you are, where you are, so that it can send you stuff. So, you know, make sure you give it something that's legitimate, and it can be either here, or it can be at your house, or it can be, you know, wherever, because that's where you choose to get your information. That's all.
Okay. I'm going to show you what you get after you sign in. This is what you get. Hi, JP. Thanks for registering an account. Get started using USPS.com for shopping and shipping. I have a profile that I can edit. I want to sign out, but I'm not going to sign out. And then what we're going to begin to do for those of you that are signed in and those of you that are not signed in is we're going to go ahead now and go to use this tool. Okay? And anyone that's here that needs help later on, I will sit down with you and put all of this in. But this is the tool. And if you're following along on the outline that I've given you, we're at using the EDDM tool number 1, entering your starting location. All of this is in your handout. Each page is itemized and printed. Now remember, it includes BMU. What's a BMU? Everybody?
Bulk mail.
Bulk mail unit. Don't mess with bulk mail. And I've indicated on your outline that the pages that are related to bulk mail, that you ignore them. Okay? All right. So let me show you how I began this, and I'll step you through this. And you can, if you're advanced enough to have already signed in during this time frame, you want to put something in there, and you can put anything in there that you want, from a street address to a city, state, or zip code. I'm going to enter the zip code of my farm, 30319. And I'm going to hit start, because I'm now going to start to look for a place to send the cards. Okay? And you can see that it's processing. And now I have a zip code area highlighted on the screen. Let me pull this up a little bit so those of you that are following along in the Hangout can see it. And you can see that we're in Brookhaven. I'm going to pull back a little bit using my cursor. And this is the city of Brookhaven, pretty much. And it's the zip code 30319. Covers a lot of it. So here's what we've got in terms of choosing a route. Let's say that I want to contact people and tell them about a property that I have along Windsor Parkway. So I would bring my thing up here and see if I can find a mail route near Windsor Parkway. And there's a mail route that covers the area around the west side of Windsor Parkway. And we've got another one over here. This is the east side. So let's just work with this side right now. Oop, hang on. I'm going to click on it, and you notice it's purple. It's purple because I'm just playing around looking for things. When I click on it, it becomes blue. I've chosen that route. And I'm going to just do one not to confuse you, but you can go on and pick another route. I could pick that one. Then I could pick that one. Okay? But this is the one that I want to work on, because I think there are people in that area that still have shotgun houses, or houses built at the turn of the the 19th century, and they may want to sell their property for infill. Okay? So notice that step 2 is, in choosing the routes, you've got the route number, the residential homes that are there, the number of businesses, for a total number of pieces would be 531. This would cost $92.92.
Oh.
All right?
Sorry.
Okay, now, here's the exciting thing.
so exciting about it is
We're already
it's so cheap.
You're getting 500 hits. Okay, now, here's the other thing. Demographics are also included. All right? Now, I want to include information about the age of the people that live there. I also want to know household income, if it's worth sending to these people, and the household size. That's also important to me. But I may want to hit people that are older, so you can go and adjust the age. And it will show the percent of homeowners who are 25 to 54 years old. Okay? And you go back up. Whoops. We're going to go back up here. And all of that information is now in this tab, okay? This is a decision-making tab. This is where you want to look. So we've got the route. We now have 730 pieces of mail.
Oh, because you
There we go.
added those, they made the age higher, the number went up.
Right. Okay. So 42% of the people, homeowners here, are between the age of 25 and 54. The family size is 2.8 people, just ideal family size.
0.8 person.
0.8 person. And the income is $144,000. Whoops. Right?
Average income.
Average income, right. The average household income on each route. Now
You keep moving off.
every time I touch that, I thought I'd saved it. Is that the one? No, that's not it. Hang on, let me go in and find it again. There it is. That's the one.
Up.
All right, there we go. Okay.
Go up one more. Above Windsor.
Above that one?
That's it right there.
Okay, right in there?
Yeah, that's it.
All right, that would cost us $95, and you can see it's $144,000. 42% fit our age range. Now we can move a little bit to the east as we move along. Things change a little bit. There's one, 2.5 people, 124,000. As we get closer to Ashford, Dunwoody, let's see, where's the, here. Now, well, we're going to be out, see, this is 30341, so I can't get over in this territory where I want to go because I'm only working in this zip code. So you have to put another zip code in to straddle zip codes. You put a different zip code in and get a different route over here. Okay? So that's how it's done. And I picked this route. I've got a route that I've colored. I've got the blue color. That's what I'm going to work with. If that's the only route you want, then you click Next. Okay? Or you can save the selection. So we save the selection. See, it's asking me if I have an account. I already have an account, and apparently it doesn't know that I've signed in already. But hang on here. Where are we at? I gotta go over here. Yep. See, I
lost you.
Yeah, I've got to sign in. Hang on. Cool.
Username.
It's my username. Where did you go? Well. I thought I had that all nailed down. I thought it was already signed in.
It was. It just logged you out because it probably took too long or whatever. There you go.
There
We're
we go.
back.
Okay. Okay, it's processing now. And the next thing you do is you can see my route here, okay? This is my route, and I want to decide when I want to drop it off at the post office. The route that I've got highlighted is going to cost $65.46, and you pick a date to drop it off, and I'm going to drop it off on Thursday. And the reason I'm going to drop it off on Thursday is I want it to arrive on Friday or Saturday, okay? So hopefully the people will be at home and they'll see it on Friday and or Saturday, and I've got an open house that I'm advertising on Sunday, and they'll come to my open house. I'm just speculating on all of that. So I go to Next, all right? And you can see that I've got my company mailer name, I've got all of this together. I'm going to spend $65 to send 300 pieces. I click I understand, and I say I want to pay online or I want to pay at the post office. That's your choice. Okay? If you pay in advance online, it takes you to this particular page where you would check out. Okay? And all you have to do then is put in your credit card information, agree to the policy, I've already got my American Express card on file, so I don't have to redo it. I just have to put the security code in, and etc. Now I'm going to go back.
Because you're not mailing to this particular route right
Yes.
now.
I'm going to go back.
You don't know any post office?
Give them a minute. We'll get to that.
Here we go. It says it expired. I thought I'd be able to go back to. Okay. You can see it's a bit forgiving, but I'm going to mail it tomorrow. I go to next, and I click on the I understand, and I'm going to pay at the post office. Now I'm doing pay at the post office because I want to go to the next step so you can see what's going on. Okay? And here's your summary. Now, what you need specifically have to have, and my outline goes through all of this. It goes right down to confirmation on page 22, drop off at the post office page 21. That's where we're at right now. We're in using the tool. We're at number 7. Agree to the terms and conditions and pay or choose at the post office. Page 26 in your booklet is print the forms. Okay? Now, here's where the forms are. Print all the forms now is what you want to print. And here's what you will get. Look at the back. Now, back pages, and it's page 36, 37? What do I got here? Hang on just a second. 35, 34, it would be 35 actually. Page 35, and it looks like this in your booklet. Oh yeah. Sorry, those of you that are at home.
You're good.
Good? Okay. And what you're going to see is Every Door Direct Mail Retail, and it has been filled in with my information. There's my CRID, there's my address, there's my company name, there's my processing category. I'm doing EDDM flats, saturation, price category is 0.175, number of pieces. This was a mailing that I did to 1,639 addresses for $28.83, and I paid online, okay? You need this.
200, not 28.
28 was
It's cheap. It's not that cheap.
1639. I paid $286.83.
You said 28.
It's a little different.
I didn't
Really get people excited.
Get my
You know,
concept.
1,600 pieces for 28.
Sorry about that. I'm sorry. Okay. Now, the next page is a summary page that has the post office location and the drop-off information. So you know exactly where you have to go with it. It has the address of the post office, the phone number, the whole deal has when they're open. Okay? All right. That's going to be important. All right?
So
Now,
this is a big difference for everyone that's used to doing the old school bulk mail way, where you have to go to a specific post office that only handles bulk mail. You know, there's the one in Pateville and the one in Doraville. You know, those, you have to go to those no matter where you're mailing to. These post offices are specific to where you're mailing.
right, and why do we want to go to one of these post offices? Because of the 3-letter word that we don't want to enjoy. We don't want to mess with that 3-letter word. What is it?
BMU.
BMU. No BMUs. We're going to retail post offices.
Right.
That's all you need to know. Is you're going to retail post office. This post office is a retail post office. It's located on Dresden Drive in Atlanta. It's called the North Atlanta Post Office.
And this is because you were sending to 30319.
Right.
So if I'm sending somewhere else, it will tell me what the post office.
Right. This
Will the
page,
information be filled out?
it'll all be filled out.
All this will be filled
It'll all be done for you. Now, there is one thing you do need to do now, and that's facing slips. And I don't think that our friend Chuck would mind if I
Give them a hard time.
okay, Chuck, please forgive me, okay? But Chuck was on his way out the door to deliver his open house bundle. He had 500 and some, 600 and some things to go. He had everything all set up and running, and he's got them under his arm, and I was helping him to do this. And I said, Chuck, where are you going? Chuck did not have them faced. I thought he knew about facing because I gave him the packet. He went through everything. But you're going to get a facing slip. Now, this is only a facing slip, one of them, okay? Now, you notice that I sent out 1,685 pieces?
Something like that.
Yeah, something like that. 1,639 pieces. Now, the rules, which I'm going to explain to you right now, that are in the paperwork, is your flat plus flats must be bundled in groups of 50 or 100. Absolutely minimum, maximum. 50, 100, nothing in between. That's it, one or the other. With one rubber band minimum around it, and a facing sheet around each bundle. All right, and you just wrap the facing sheet across the bundle. Now, if you look at preparing for post office delivery on the bottom of your agenda, page 2, bundle flats in quantities of 50 or 100 except for the short remainder. So I'm going to have one bundle of 39. Right, and how many bundles of 100?
16.
16. All right, 16 and the 39. So I'm going to have 17 bundles. I'm going to have 16. So you have to go back to the copier and make how many copies of this?
17.
17. Roger that. Okay, now, notice that it requires a date. That's the date you're going to deliver it to the thing.
To the post office.
Post office, right. And the total number of pieces per bundle is?
100.
100. And the total number of bundles?
17.
17. And you're going to put the date, the total number of 100, and you can put 1 of 17, 2 of 17, 3 of 17. Now, before you run this through the copier, you can put the date on the original, and you can write in the total number of pieces 100. Then all you need to mess with is 1 of 17, 1 of 16, 1 of 12, whatever you've got. Questions?
You said that the bundle could be less than 50.
The what?
Except for the remainder.
Except for the remainder. There always will be a remainder out there somewhere. Okay? And that you don't do a different sheet. You just say total number of pieces per bundle, 39. And then you do 17 of 17. It's always the last bundle is the short bundle. Okay, now, you're all set to go, right? Because you've wrapped each bundle in there. But how do you get a bundle of 100? Do you want to?
No.
1, 2, 3, 4, until you get to 1,600?
No.
Absolutely not. So, we have done extensive and thorough research at our laboratory in the basement. Okay, we're down there, and you know we put the electrodes on our head to map out our brain waves when we were doing this. And
Disclaimer.
we discovered that on this particular sheet, 11 by 17, you can burst 5 at a time. So all of you that passed, we got a high school diploma, will be able to tell me that when you do 5 of these and you burst them, how many total do you have?
15.
15, right. So you're going to take your 5 and you're going to fold it on the perf like this. Take them out. Get them out. I gave every one of you one of these. Get them out. Okay. You're going to fold the top one of the. You're going to have 5 in your hand, and you're going to fold the top one over away from you with your fingers inside, and you're going to crease it. And you'll be creasing 5 at a time. Then you take the bottom one and you fold it up, and you crease it.
So
all right.
An accordion.
All right. Then you'll have an accordion, which you then reverse the process. Fold the top one back against it, the bottom one up here. Igor worked on this for a week till he could get it done right. Then you take all 5 of them in your hand and you simply burst it. And you now have how many in your hand?
15.
15. So you take 5 more and you do the next one and you stack it up. You stack the 15 up across it. Crisscross it. So you got 15, 30, 45, 60, 75, 90. All right.
And so you're 10 short.
Ah, but that's okay when you're 10 short because you're going to make it up from the pile of, how many are in a pile? 15. You're going to count out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and put how many aside?
5.
5. All right. All right. Okay.
We are rocket science today.
All right. You guys are going to the head of the class, boy. Let me tell you. Okay. So now you've got your pile of 100. You've wrapped them all together. You stacked them up. The short one is on top, and you're going to put them in your car on Thursday morning. Let's say I do it today, and I put it in my car overnight. I get up in the morning, grab a coffee, and I drive to the post office, so I arrive at 8:55. Because you want to be the first person in line at the post office.
Oh, is there a big line?
No, sometimes there are lines in the middle of the day, later in the day.
Well, it's a retail post office, so
it depends upon the post office you're going to, but you'll then be the first person in line at the door. They'll come and they'll unlock the door and see you and say, come right over here. And you say, I've got an EDDM. And they'll say, fantastic, step right up. You're the first person. They know you're carrying a whole box. It's 9 in the morning. They've had their coffee.
They haven't dealt with a bunch of angry clients yet.
That's right. They haven't dealt with these crazy people, right?
They usually are nicer in the morning.
So they will then take one of these out. Just one. And they will lay it on a scale because they're looking for what?
Weight.
Paper weight. Okay, and if you read your instructions carefully, it can't weigh more than 3.3 ounces. Ta-da. Then they will do this. And just by doing that, they know that this is what size?
More than 0.25.
Greater than 0.25. I don't know how they do it. I mean, I even had the woman sign it when I went over there for the trial run. I said, I want your name right on here.
Yeah, did you?
We went through a lot of testing before we actually
right side. And all she did was this. Boop, okay. And then they will lay it on an XY axis scale looking for its size. And it must be smaller than what? 15 by 12. Right, 15 by 12. And because they weighed it, it doesn't matter how small it is. You could be sending out postage stamp sizes. As long as
there's
it's
a minimum size, right?
The minimum weight.
But
There's no minimum size.
Huh.
Okay? So you can be sending out business cards, and it would be the minimum weight, you're in business. Okay? All right. So then what happens is, if you have paid online, which I do, you don't have to, but pay online, they will take your boxes, set them on the counter, and you saved and paid online, so a record of your sale is in their computer. Here's an email that you get, and what they will do then is print out this receipt. And I know I'm talking down to you, so let me just finish off. You'll get this receipt, and the receipt will summarize everything and tell you what you don't owe and what you paid, or you're going to get the same receipt if you swipe your credit card or give them cash, whatever you're doing at the post office, okay? Maybe you're one of those guys that watches, Orange is the New Black, and you've got a box of postage stamps you want to use. I don't know, but give them cash, right? At any rate.
How about a check?
Check? If they take checks, yeah, I don't know if they take checks. I prefer to do it online. It's neat and tidy. I get this. I take this outside, my receipt. I bring it back to the office, and I take all these pages like this. Take all these pages like this, staple it together, and put it in my tax-deductible receipts folder. Boom, boom. You're all done. And those will go out the very next day. So if I drop it off on Friday morning, it'll be delivered on Saturday. Thursday morning, Friday. So if I did it on Thursday morning, they would go out. They don't sit around like third-class mail just waiting to be sent out. Okay? One drawback is you don't get a copy delivered to your house like you do to check if your postcards go out. You always make one out to yourself.
Unless you're on the route.
Unless you're
Unless you are on the route, okay? So, I've got all of that on the third page. All of what I just went through so comedically, I have on the third page, okay? And all of it is there for you to find, and everything relates to your handout. The page numbers are indicated on here that are in your handout. But once you do it, it is so easy to do again, it's ridiculous. And now, 1,600, bursting 1,600 by hand, okay, took a half an hour.
I watched him do it.
Yeah,
Right there.
took 30 minutes to do 1,500, 1,600. So now you know. You know, it'll the biggest that you probably want to do would be within that time frame, and that's it. So we have questions, Michael.
The pack of 100 of them
Yes,
gets this facing thing wrapped around it,
Right.
and then the rubber band.
rubber band. That's right.
Yeah.
And you stack them up, and so they're orderly. I mean, I just do number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, and that's how I do it.
All right, so let me step in for 1 second because I had a question from someone. What about the addresses? Don't you have to put addresses on them?
No.
And that's the beauty of this is you don't have to put the addresses. There are 2 little boxes that have to be done, and Christina knows what these are. Basically, one little box says local postal customer, and the other little box has a bunch of stuff about the EDDM program and whatever in it.
And that's called an indicia by the post office. And she has, you can get it right off of the website that you've registered on. It's the middle tab on the first page. Down on the bottom it says download indicia. If you want to do it yourself and plug it in, they give you the format to do that. I wouldn't mess with it. Let Christina or your publisher do that for you.
Did Christina do this?
Yes.
No, Christina, that's
no,
Fiverr.
that one was he had done on Fiverr.
A guy in Guyana did that for me on
For
Fiverr.
$5.
But Christina does it.
But Christina can do it too.
It's on this.
Fiverr, everything's $5.
That's it, right there.
It gives everybody.
Now, here's the deal. If you look at mine, if you look at the way mine is, on the one that I gave you, you'll notice how small it is in the lower right-hand corner. You can put it in the upper right-hand corner, lower right-hand corner. It's okay. But here's one from a yoga studio. This is Every Door Direct. Hear that? Okay. But they originally intended it to go out as postcards. And if you'll notice all of the space down here, that's where they were going to put the names on it and everything else. So what they did at the last minute was they decided to use Every Door Direct at the bulk mailing firm, okay? And they just inserted local postal customer. That's all wasted space.
Yeah, because that's the nice thing.
Nice thing.
Unlike regular mail where you have to have the big open, you know, like a postcard, you've got a half of a postcard that you have to use for the address and everything. You know, you'll notice these 2 little blocks are actually built into and almost hidden within the design of the postcard.
Right.
And so they don't, you know, they don't care because the postal system's not having to scan all of these.
Yeah, they don't put a
They
stamp
don't
on
have to do anything with it.
Right.
The route carrier brings the bundles to his truck or her truck and knows that every mailbox gets one.
Yeah, that's it. And this was a rough draft of the first one we did. You can see how big the indicia was and the sign.
We
and
gave it a bunch of space.
then when I took the rough draft over and asked her that question, I mean, how big does this need to be and where does it need to be located? She said, doesn't make any difference. I was like, oh joy, it doesn't make any difference. They don't even have to be next to each other.
No.
You can have one up here and the name down here or the name over here. It doesn't make any difference. Because they're not looking for an address. They're just throwing it in the mailbox. Now, think if this was, let's say you have a target audience of people in a farm that you've been working on a regular basis and you send out a monthly newsletter to them. Okay? You know, this is the ideal size for a monthly newsletter. Now, I don't know about you, but most people email their contacts a newsletter. Okay? But if you were working in an area hard, you would be able to deliver this, even with the coating on it, UV coating, for 17.5 cents. So if you had 300 people that you wanted to get a newsletter, you just have to pick the routes or in the territory, put it together, and every month you can send it out. And as long as it's on paper that's this heavy, you don't even need the UV coating. I mean, this guy intended this thing to stay in the house on the refrigerator. Throw the magnet on that baby, and it'll take a lot of beating. It'll be there for a long time with the UV coating. But if you're just sending out a newsletter, 8.5 by 11, you get both sides covered, masthead, footer, the whole thing, the news you want them to have about the neighborhood. You can include URLs in here. You can even put in specific things with a QR code and say, click on this to go to a website with X number of whatever listings, and it'll take them right to that website. You can have multiple quick codes on the same thing. So it's highly flexible, it's desirable, it's inexpensive. However, it's limited to a postal route. And
it has to be the whole postal
it has to be the whole postal route. The only thing you can do, as you saw, is separate
Business for residents.
Business from residents. So you can do businesses or the residences or both.
Residential.
That's it. So you know it's very flexible. It's a great system, but it has its limitations, and I think it should be, in summary, a part of a total marketing strategy that you have, and it shouldn't be the sole thing that you're doing, obviously, in a target market. It's just part of a contact, and maybe you know, if we can find some people that are really good at marketing, you know, that we could invite them to come and speak about what the content of such cards should be. Because basically, I dreamed up my card. I mean, that was my idea, and I picked a bunch of pictures and sent them off to Guyana. He organized them in a variety of ways. Brett and I talked about what it looked like, and okay, let's go with it. He approved it, so we published it. But there's got to be data out there someplace that talks about what people see when they go through their mail, what they look at, what they don't look at, what catches their eye, what doesn't catch their eye, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Because I don't know about you, but I come home, I look at the mail, junk mail, junk mail, junk mail, junk. Oh, check. Okay, put the check down here. I grab the junk mail and I throw it in the wastebasket.
Or
And that's the way I approached this. Was, my God, you know, and then to have to pay bulk mail rates while I'm not sending it to that many people. Okay, it's either got to be a postcard or it's got to be first class. Well, what do I put on a postcard to prevent someone from behaving like I do? I'm not, because I don't try to sell me. I don't want to sell something. So this is what caught my eye. One day I was doing that, right? I go and pull it out of the post office. I go in the house, throw it on the counter, and I start going through it. It was like, what the heck? What is? You know, it caught my attention immediately. So that's why, in doing this, we went with this size because, as you can see, it's about 3/4 of this. You know, and it sticks out in the mail. You got to look at it.
We don't do coding here in the office. If you want coded, you got to buy from, you know, a professional printer. So, you know, you could get,
and the guy, what would
you get things done with Express Docs, you get stuff done at local print shops, but, you know, obviously our copiers don't have a UV code feature.
Yes.
They're fancy, but they're not quite that fancy.
Yes.
And, most people have done away with getting the newspaper, but I still get the newspaper. And some of us get these free papers in the mail that they give you. And if you notice, what they're doing now is when they fold them, the insert is the same size, but they've got it pulled out about an inch, so that, you know, and it's really a pain in the neck to be folding your papers and everything, but it makes you
see it.
Look at it.
Right.
But the nice thing is, so you got to think about these postcards. These are, you know, or even if you do the newsletters, you know, compared to mailing a newsletter in an envelope that's folded up, you know, somebody's got to take the time to open the envelope and look at it. You can actually send a newsletter, a double-sided 8.5 by 11, or even bigger, actually, through this, and have it be local, targeted information, and really be able to let them focus on that. And so that's really the power of this. I think we should wrap it up at this point.
Judy's got a question.
Well, I was just going to say about the coated paper, that runs about $30 for 100 sheets. You can buy it at Sam's. You can buy it at Office Depot. And Kodak sells it too. It's called photo paper.
We can't
But our copier,
You can't do it through the printer.
you can't really print that coated of paper through
I'll
ours.
tell you what, with the way this is printed, it feels coated. This is
It does.
Yeah,
They really do come out really nice.
Yeah, they
And
do. And
the
you
other
do
benefit, the other benefit of the EDDM versus the bulk mail or any other mailing is that these pieces never go through a sorting machine.
Right.
And so when you get, if you do any other mailing, you will notice that if it's not UV coated, it a lot of times has a little streak along the bottom or somewhere across it because the sorting machine has scratched it. And so because these don't get handled by anything other than human hands, they don't get scratched up. They get delivered just as they are right now, as you see them in front of you. And so that really is a much better, much higher
It
quality.
looks better when it gets to the end.
Absolutely. It doesn't, you can actually get away with not doing the UV coating, and it still looks great when it gets there, and so it's cheaper from that standpoint.
I do want to say something to those of you that are watching in your offices or in your car, wherever you're at. If you would like to have today's agenda, we could email it to you. and it has a step-by-step walkthrough with all of the notes, and it'll probably be a little bit more supportive than just handing out the handout that you got from today that has every single page of the 35 pages that the post office produces. It refers back to that handout to answer any questions. And of course, you can always contact me. I'll help you.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Round of applause.
Thank you.